Eve, so we, okay, great, thank you, Louis. So it's 6:38. I will call the meeting to order. We do not have quorum, so we will not be reviewing and discussing February's minutes. So we will table that for our May meeting. We will have minutes at that point from March, not from March, because we had the candidate forum, February and April at our May's meeting. So to start off, I would like to turn the screen over to our superintendent, Dr. D'Antona.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Uh-oh, I'm not sure why that's happening. Hold on one second.
Is this your first time sharing?
Yeah.
On the new laptop? Yeah, Dr. Mike got a new laptop, so sometimes it needs permission and stuff like that.
Move it up in the world.
I'm very fancy.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if that did the trick. Hold on one second.
Yep, here it comes.
All right, there we go.
Yep, perfect. Just say allow on that thing in the front. Yep, and then we should see your slides. Yeah, I think it's the third tab. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I am going to just talk to you a little bit about some updates, as typically I usually do. And we're going to talk a little bit about the ELA sprint that our kids just went through in preparation for the state test. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about things that we have in mind for goal setting for the 24-25 school year. So without further ado, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some updates and reminders. Excuse me, just for our schools, it is Administrative Professionals Day on April 23rd. Just recognizing all of the work that our school staff does for us, including our district staff, making sure that we have all things together. I know that having our secretarial staff supporting our work, most of our schools can't function the way that they need to absent them. So big shout out to all of our Administrative Professionals Day. It's really, really important work that they do. Also, just shout out and hoping all of you had a very happy Passover for those of you that celebrate, and happy Easter for those of you who celebrate Easter as well. Tomorrow marks Earth Day. Just reminding our kids the importance of keeping our planet good and healthy the way that it's necessary in terms of recycling opportunities, making sure that we're doing all things that are right around us. So just a good positive message for our kids, just to keep them mindful of the importance of the things that we can control. And that's not taking those plastic bottles and throwing them around on the ground, like unfortunately we do see pretty frequently. And me driving in from Long Island on a daily basis and looking at what's on the side of the streets, it's not necessarily healthy space that we create at times as adults. And certainly we want to send that positive message to kids about doing what's right. So just celebrating Earth Day tomorrow. Just a reminder about our upcoming events. We do have our final virtual math session around implementing a shared curriculum on May 28th. I'll talk to you a little bit about what that means moving forward around shared curriculum towards the end of this presentation. Tuesday, June 17th is going to be our final iReady workshop. And then we have June 4th and June the 11th will be the final sessions around Acadience and the end-year diagnostic, so that all of our families know where it is that our kids are in relation to performance by the end of the year. Enrollment timelines, just so that everyone knows: high school offers were released March 6th, Wednesday, April 2nd, kindergarten G&T. So if in the event that you have people that are suggesting to you that they didn't receive them, they should have, and you can certainly reach out to us if there is an issue there. April 9th, just before break, middle school offers were released. April 24th, this coming week, Summer Rising results will be made available, and wait list options will also be available in my schools. Really important that we're paying attention to that as parents. So for those of you that have an opportunity to check in with those in your community, just reminding them that this is coming out soon in their My Schools account. Tuesday, May 13th, pre-K offers are released, and the 20th, 3K offers will be released. This you already are aware of, but we'll just quickly go over it. ELA, computer-based testing, begins tomorrow through May 2nd for grades 4, 5, 6, and 8. Paper-based and computer-based options are still available for the other grades, April 29th and 30th. Those are all decisions that are made at the local school level with school leadership teams around what that's going to look like moving forward for kids in grades 3 and 7. Math, same type of scenario. Computer-based testing is May 6th through the 16th, and 7th and 8th is paper-based. Science, computer-based testing is May 13th through the 16th. Grades 5 and 8 are being administered those assessments during that time. Just a quick little refresher. Earlier in March, we held a family comic book night. It was really quite successful. We really brought kids through some comics that really promote this idea of democracy, civic engagement, and social justice. The nice part about these comics is oftentimes our kids, when they're asking about books to read, they tend to go to graphic novels as an option. And these texts are a really good resource. So I encourage you, and these things are available right online for our kids or at the school level for any of our children that are interested in that. So really good event. I encourage you guys to look at that moving forward as we will create more opportunities in the future. District 25 Wellness Day. This was really, really well done. Big shout out to Diana Stein from our team, as well as Wing Chung for organizing the event and securing over 30 vendors to support our district community. There were things there from physical wellness, mental wellness, social emotional learning support. We had school food and nutrition there, talking about healthy food options that our schools have available to them. It was really, really terrific. And I thank our CEC, as well as Common Point Queens, our local CBO, for opening up their space right in Bay Terrace to support our district. It was really, really great event. And it served as the springboard for future conversations with our CEC. We're engaging in a collaboration between parents and the district community to organize what we want wellness to look like in District 25. So we're going to be talking more about that next month as we will be meeting with those members later on, early in May. So we'll have a briefing for you when we come to meet for President's Council in the May session. A couple of other things just to let you know, our kids from District 25 from 25, 250, 185, 194, 219, and 379 participated in our bocce league. And our bocce league is about creating the space of inclusion for our non-neurotypical students, along with our general ed population, where they're working collaboratively in sport. And I have to tell you, it's one of the coolest experiences that I get to have the opportunity to witness, where our kids are working together in this space where it promotes this pride, promotes relationships. It's just really a great resource that we have here in District 25. And we're one of only 4 districts in New York City that has an opportunity to do this. And we do have the most schools of any district in the city that do participate. So it's really great. And we're looking to continue to expand that to as many of our middle schools as possible moving forward. District 25, we had our Cheer Expo on April 8th. So teams from across our district community participated in this expo. Again, big shout out. You're going to hear me say Diana Stein a few times, as many of these next few slides are about the work that she's done at the district level with our coaches, with our school leaders, and most importantly, our kids who were able to engage in this work with pride and really show what they were able to do as cheerleaders. So it was really great work. And we're going to continue this moving forward into future years. There is no doubt about it, as I really value the importance of sport and what it can do for our kids in terms of building relationship, knowing what it is to be on a team, knowing how to collaborate, and knowing how to problem solve when it's necessary. So it's really, really great work, and we're going to continue it. We had our elementary school all-star game on April 9th and April the 11th. We had to split it across 2 days because we have that many schools that participate. The one great part about this is that we have, and we did this also for our middle schools, for our middle school students. The one great part about this is that we bring our kids to a high school where they get an idea of what it is to be in a high school setting. The gyms are far bigger than what they're used to. It just gives them that experience of knowing what's coming in the future. So this was also really job well done by Diana from our team in organizing this work with our coaches from across the district. And we also had our first ever middle school girls basketball league. They engaged in the tournament earlier in April, on April 10th. We had 194, 25, and 185 participate. Really proud of this, and we will most definitely be expanding on this as we move into next school year. And the last little update, we are working with our youth leadership team. We have middle schoolers from across District 25 that come to meet with myself and a few of our district team members to really talk about how do we make improvements inside of our school, inside of our district school communities. And they will be hosting an event on May 23rd to really promote this idea of relationship building and being there as a support for one another as students. And what the goal of this is that we will have former professional athletes coming to meet with all of our student council representatives from across the district. And from there, our student council representatives will be meeting with all of their peers and creating a presentation around what it is to be respectful of one another. It's really important for me as a district leader to continue to present to our kids the importance of treating each other with kindness and respect. Sometimes our kids do things because they believe they're being funny, but at the same time, they're being very hurtful. And that's something that we do need to continue to shift the mindset of some of our kids that at times in the space of humor wind up creating a little bit of sadness in some of our other students in District 25. So the goal of this is to really lay the groundwork for that peer support across our schools. Just a quick little update across our district community. We engaged in what we called the ELA Sprint. We did this in grades 3 to 5 and grades 6 to 8. Across New York City, most of our districts did 3 to 5, but I thought it was important to do this across our middle schools as well. We did see a significant number of our children completing the expected minutes, which was 30 to 50 minutes across the week. The average pass rate was a 74, and what through iReady they call for is a minimum pass rate of a 70. So that's where we were in grades 3 to 5, and a minimum pass rate of 81 is what our students wound up attaining in our middle school. So this is something that we do want to continue moving forward, where our kids understand that some of the resources that are accessible to them can help support their learning moving forward. And we were among the top districts in New York City in terms of making sure that our kids were on and doing this work successfully. So I'm really pleased and proud of our schools for sustaining this work over the past 6 weeks. Just setting the stage for our district and parents, just as you being SLT members, just important for you to know. And I ask you to just review this particular slide whenever you have a moment, just to recognize what it is that our schools are going to be held accountable to. And between now and the end of the year, all of our school leadership teams are expected to write their goals for the 25-26 school year. So all of our building leaders, our school leadership team should really be thinking about what did we do well this year? What is it that we need to make adjustments to? And how can we set our goals going into the 25-26 school year so that we begin that planning now in preparation for next year's work? In addition to this particular slide, it's important that all of you have been given access to an SLT DLT training that is being held on Saturday, April 26th. So I'm hoping that you did receive that information from your building leaders, as all of our parents from SLT, all of our teachers from SLT, and all of our building leaders from SLT have been invited to a citywide DLT SLT training session from 8 to 3 during that time on Saturday, April 26th. So I'm hoping as many of you as possible can be there to join. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we're thinking about as a district, what you see here is the current breakdown of our English language learners across District 25. We have 6,614 children currently identified as having English as their second language, which amounts to almost 28% of our district community. 56% of our ENL learners are Asian. 40% of our ENL learners are Hispanic. We have 1,236 of our ENL learners have IEPs. 46% of them are in an ICT class. 41% are in special class. 20% of our ENL are chronically absent, which is really, really important for us to know and think about at the school level. How are we making sure, and it's appropriate that Robert's here to also be able to talk to us about language access, to make sure that our families are receiving the information that they need in a language that's appropriate to them, to make sure that our kids are in school on a daily basis. Really super important. But this information lays the groundwork for some of the things that are really important as a district community as well. So when we look at the middle of the year data as a district, things that we know and recognize is at mid-year, we had almost 48% of our kids currently at that time on grade level already. The goal is by the end of the year that as many of our kids as possible are on grade level. Our non-L students, 62.4% of our non-L students, and then 6% of our L students were on grade level. Now, when we have that volume of L learner that is currently not meeting standards, and listen, there are reasons why. If you're here only for a few months, the likelihood of you being proficient English in the English language is not likely. So we do know that. But it's reason for us to really focus on how are we going to continue to accelerate the learning opportunities for our Ls as much as we possibly can. And what we've done this year was a focus on decodable text. And what you'll see as a result of that are real positive outcomes from year over year. So this top line is kindergarten through second grade. Each of these elements that you see here, and you'll see plus 9%, plus 18%, plus 19%, plus 12, plus 11. This is all comparing phonics-based skills from 2023-24 to phonics-based skills in 24-25. And you can see that there's been a significant change in our young L learners' ability to decode words, which is really, really important. And I'm excited about that because it says that we're moving in the right direction for our Ls. And also, likewise, for iReady, for our L learners, we saw a 15% change in their ability to decode, which is in phonics. We saw a 13% change in high frequency words, which means that our Ls are recognizing the words inside of passages at a different rate than in the past. But what we also see is that vocabulary needs to improve. This is an area that we do need to continue to grow in, so that as we're able to decode words, we also need to learn the meaning of them and in context of the text that we're reading. So a lot more to follow on this, but I did want to show you where it is that we were this year and why I believe it's important for us to continue moving into next school year. So we did establish a couple of goals. The first goal in reading is to promote this database type of use of the curriculum resources as a means of improving outcomes for all learners, but with a focus on our Hispanic, Black, and students with disabilities, and also a focus on our English language learners within the context of what we call standalone instruction. So our entering and emerging children, they get 4 periods, which is based on building language. So we're going to be emphasizing that a great deal more as we move into next school year to support our kids as much as we possibly can. Priority 2 is around continuing to promote student-to-student relationships. The use of mind-up moments, that's a relationship builder, conversation starters, and brain breaks will be something that we emphasize across our schools to make sure that our kids are really promoting that environment that we want, that safe and inclusive environment for all of our children. We'll be using a district-wide survey to monitor the results of that over time. In mathematics, and this is where I said I would want to come back to you on, as a district community, this school year, we developed a district math team that began exploring the 3 math curriculum that we would have access to moving into next year, particularly in middle school. And that is the Amplify Math program, the illustrative math program, and the iReady math program. I know Beth Eaton from our team earlier in the year went over this with you. But as a team and as principals and teachers, engaged in this process with several of our parents as well. And they identified Amplify as being the math program that we will be using moving forward. So next year, you will see what that program looks like, sounds like, and feels like. And in the May 28th session with parents from Beth Eaton on our team, she's going to talk to you quite a bit more about what that program offers and how it will help support our learners in the classroom. So I'm excited about that, and I think it's going to be really supportive of our kids as we grow to build their math skills moving forward. I'm sorry, just hold on one second, please. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, and also this next goal is really around promoting college and career readiness, creating that strong pathway to economic security. So there's a couple of things here that I think are really important. One, student voice is so valuable and something that I truly believe in and want to see happen on a routine basis. So the goal is that all of our kids engage in Project Soapbox across grades 3 through 8. And that's where our children are able to do some research and have a call to action to support a school-wide student-led action project inside of our buildings. Nothing promotes more of that space of college and career readiness than our kids being active learners. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I also had a question for all of you around Save for College, which I'll come back to at the very end. But I'd love for you guys to give me a little bit of feedback, because as a district, we have fewer than 40% of our parents that take advantage of this free college fund. So every child in kindergarten, first, second, and Lewis, is it up to third grade? Kindergarten, first, second, and third grade have access to a savings account that through the Save for College program, they automatically start as soon as you register and activate. Start every kid with $100 in a savings account in preparation for college or career moving forward. So it's a really great opportunity for our families, and I would love to expand upon this and would love your feedback on how we can go ahead and do that as a district community. And this is also another goal that I want to spend a little bit of time with you to talk about, and that is around parent engagement. Things that we can do to help continue to bolster this. I think as a district community, we've done quite a bit of work as a district team, but also as school teams, inviting families back into our buildings, really doing things like from the space of First Fridays, Welcoming Wednesdays, those types of environments, as well as parent chats are still existing across all of our schools. So we've done that part in terms of creating a relational type of space for our parents. Always more to do there, but I'm wondering from your perspective as parent leaders, what are some other parent engagement goals that you'd like to see? Are we doing a good enough job in terms of sharing the progress of our children with you? I know many of our schools, all of our schools rather, have made a much more concerted effort to sharing iReady results, Acadience results, progress reports, things of that nature. So I'm wondering what everyone's feeling is on that as well. So if I can ask you just for a moment of pause, if you wouldn't mind giving me some feedback around things that we can do for this idea of Save for College. Do you believe that's a goal that we should include in there? And this idea of really promoting this space of making sure that all our families understand the progress of their children. Are there other things that you would want to see as a parent for us to do and consider? And the last one is around chronic absenteeism. This one, it will continue to be a goal until it's not a problem anymore. We still have 20% of our children, under 20% as a district. We are among the top attendance. We have one of the top attendance rates in New York City. So there's only one district that has a better attendance rate than us in New York City. So our attendance isn't poor, but the chronic absenteeism rates need to improve. So we're going to continue to focus on that as a district community too. But if I could just take that moment just for parents that are on, just to reflect on what else can we do for our parents to really promote that space of engagement and understanding around the academic progress of your children. Is there anything else that we should be considering as we move into the next school year? And then if anyone wants to kind of share and give me some feedback, I would love to hear it.
Excuse me, Dr. Michael. Yeah, I'm Xian Chen, and I have a suggestion about a district event. For example, downtown Flushing. Downtown Flushing is very diverse, and it has the most population. And they have a PS20, PS22, PS242, PS120, MS237, East-West 281, and junior high school 189. For example, that school is in the middle, so around there are so many schools around it. And so it's very convenient. And for example, the transportation, so convenient. So next time when you think about the event, could you please, consider the location first? And then last month, junior high school 189 hosted the math night. And it's really a big success. We have Mr. Seren there, we have Louis there. And, the auditorium room was fully filled with families, students from other schools, nearby schools, and it's a big success. And the next day is a SLT meeting date. And our school leader team shape would like, to have the opportunities to host more events in our district. And our principal, Dr. Bradley, said both the evening and the weekend are available. And our teachers, they do like math, they are considering that maybe next time they would communicate with the teachers in other schools, nearby schools, in advance, and they could make plan together. I think that they're very open and they really would like, to host the event. So please consider to give junior high school 189 more opportunity for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We're trying to, as much as possible, get to as many schools as we can.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year. I think we hosted 4 district math events. We did 3 district literacy events.
Yes,
we have
noticed that. Yeah, each school, they have the opportunity. But I would like to express it that junior high school 189, they would like to devote more. If
Yeah.
they would like, they really, very open. They don't think it's a burden. They think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
community
It's
together.
great for our community. And I have to tell you, each of the math nights that we've hosted have been really, really successful. Kids have come out and parents have come out. But the most important part of it is that they're not only coming out, but they're actually doing the math together and they're having fun while doing it. So it's been great, but we will most definitely keep 189 in mind as we move forward for sure.
Yeah, I think the teachers, they think ahead. They think that next time, not only for math, but also, some events about ELA or science. They hope that they could communicate with especially elementary school teachers, so they could do a very good bridge to help elementary school students to prepare for middle school. They just look ahead, and I think they really, really, would like to contribute to the event to help all the family, the students in this district. So consider that. Thank you.
I love that. That's terrific. And just another example of that I didn't share earlier. We hosted a literacy event at 169 where they also had some book giveaways. We did the same thing at 21. Where they also engaged in a variety of different reading-based activities with families. So our goal is really to create as many relational, meaning parents, kids, and school events as we possibly can. But I hear you. I love the idea of bridging between the elementary and the middle so that everyone has a chance to see what each other's doing. I love that.
Yeah, that's not actually my idea. That's, the teachers in junior high school 189, their idea. They think about that. They ready, to do something to help all the students in our district. And we could see that with the event went out, the more families they joined. When they heard maybe from their friends, their neighbors, oh, there's an event in junior high school 189, and very quick for them to come here from their home, because yes, the location is very convenient. Okay. And
I love that. And you're right. There are so many schools right there, 100%.
Yeah, and also the parents, they talk about that District 25 this year, they hold a very, very wonderful event. They really, like that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I see a couple of things in the chat. I'm just going to quickly look to see what we have here.
Okay.
I can help with these questions too.
Yeah, I think this one was about around the Safer College program.
Yeah. So
Jennifer,
your
thank you
school's
for that.
parent, yeah, your school's parent coordinator has access to a dashboard which lets them see for each student in the eligible grade levels if they've gone through. It's called Building Block 1, which is basically activating and setting up your account. So they'll be able to tell you if you've gone through that process completely. If you're not getting notifications about it, it's probably because you did set up your account and they're no longer bothering you to set up your account. So that is the best way to do that, is your parent coordinator has access to a report that they can check.
Yeah, and I think it's also important for us to continue to emphasize with parents, what it's all about. I mean, I think sometimes I agree with you. Sometimes it just might be a lack of knowledge around what it is and how it can benefit them, and maybe perhaps even sometimes language is problematic with that too. So the more that we can share, I just feel like it's an opportunity that it's not every day that you're just going to get a $100 added to an account that can accrue over time for your kids that you didn't have to put there yourself. So it's and for schools, the cool part is that if you chose to as an organization, parent organization, to organize an event, those proceeds can actually go directly into savings accounts for kids. If that's what you wanted to do, you could legitimately do that. And build on savings accounts for your learners so that by the time they get into college, maybe there's a few $100 or more or whatever it turns out to be. But it's a nice little extra amount of money that they wouldn't have had to begin with. So it is a nice opportunity, and I'm hoping we can take more advantage of it going into next year.
And not only does they make the initial contribution, they also will match if you set up your own contribution. They'll match. I know up to second grade. I'm not sure if my daughter's now in third grade, but I think they'll match up to like $100 or something. I don't remember the limit. So that's even more money you can get for the future. And I had two things I wanted to suggest. One is I agree with Jennifer about the language access. I know in our school we have a large Asian population, and so having translation available, we use it for communication, but I think it'll be good to know how Robert can expand our knowledge on what language access is available, because I would love to have Chinese translation available for our PTA meetings. I think it would greatly increase attendance, but I don't know exactly how to go about doing that. And then one other thing I was thinking of was regarding to college readiness is, we're a pre-K to 8 school. So it'll probably work differently for others that aren't that same population. But I have a parent of a freshman who just graduated and is very interested in what's still going on. And we're in conversations to try and bring up some kind of like alumni program to bring back, so middle schoolers could bring elementary schools could bring back middle schoolers to talk about the middle school experience, where we have middle school, so we can try and bring back some of our high schoolers, which I have one. So I would, of course, strong arm him into coming back too. And I think that would really be a great opportunity that we could try and do as a district. Maybe some schools might have it and have some type of framework that would help. I mean, as starting out, I'm not really sure how to go about doing this, but I think it's a great opportunity to keep kids looking forward, you know, what's the next step before college? Well, high school, and how do you approach it? You know, we start talking about it in 6th grade. Well, 7th grade is the important year for high school. And then 8th grade, now the application process and the Shazat. And so to bridge that next step into high school, I think would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, I love that, Rachel. And I think one of the things that we would have to figure out, once our kids in 8th grade move on beyond us, we lose the ability to keep track of even where they go. We can know where they went to high school. But I even think about it, even what happens to them in college, what happens to them even after that, and they've now have a profession. How do we sustain that and invite those folks back in? I really love that. I think that would be awesome. So that maybe perhaps moving forward, we can talk about what we can make that look like, even if we started small and then got big over time, so we can see how to do it, and do it well, and then we can expand it to other schools. But I really like that idea. I think that's great. Did anyone else have any other thoughts about the goals that were briefly shared? And in particular, that space around sharing progress. If there's anything else that you think would be beneficial, I'd love to certainly hear some of your thoughts on that before Robert comes on and shares around language access. All right, guys. Well, I will be on. So if there's something that comes up, feel free to add it to the chat, or at the end, if something comes to you, please feel free, and I'll be happy to answer it or entertain any of your suggestions that you have for me. But other than that, have a great night, everyone. Robert, I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. It's a pleasure to have you with us as always. Okay, so next on our agenda, we've mentioned it a few times, we have Robert Williams with us from the Office of Language Access. So Robert, I'd like to turn the meeting over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm just going to ask if I can be made co-host so that I can share my screen.
You don't need to be co-host.
Oh, no?
You may share your screen. Yep. You're already set up.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Williams. I am the External Outreach Specialist for the Office of Language Access, which means I am the point person for all parent engagements. This PowerPoint mimics how the parent website is. So once you see this PowerPoint, you'll be able to go to the website and go directly to if you need to request any translated documents or request any in-person or virtual interpretation for your parent engagements. On the agenda, we're going to talk about the New York City Public Schools background, our commitment to New York City Public Schools families, the schools.nyc.gov Hello webpage, raising awareness in our communities, and we'll get into any questions. So there are over 1 million students in over 1,600 plus schools that speak over 180 languages. Approximately 40% of the New York City public school households speak a language other than English at home. And the New York City public schools' top covered languages besides English are Arabic, Bangla, Cantonese, French, Haitian Creole, Korean, Mandarin, Russian, Spanish, and Urdu. Written translations are also available in both traditional and simplified Chinese. And our office is dedicated to supporting both New York City Public Schools staff and families by providing the resources necessary for effective communication in languages other than English. So here's a little snapshot of D25's top 10 preferred languages. Besides our covered languages, we also have a good portion of families that speak Gujarati. and Hindi. So when we're having these parent meetings, or we send out any flyers or communications to families, you want to make sure that we keep in mind of these families as well, because I've read in the chat how it would be, how can schools actually reach the parents that speak a language other than English? One would be, each school should have a language access coordinator. This person is designated by the principal. It could be the parent coordinator, school guidance counselor, ENL teacher. It's whoever the principal designates. And that person attends a 2.5-hour training with all of the language resources that are provided for schools to support families. Now, I am aware that not every individual is comfortable with turnkey information and presenting to their colleagues. So I offer myself, I would come in and present to the school staff population to let them know of the services available for parents so that we can try to close the gap between the schools and the families. There are over 13,000 parents who prefer to be spoken in their preferred language, and over 13,000 who prefer written communication in their language. So again, like I said, we train staff to make sure that they translate documents, not only for like parent engagement. Let's say like for this virtual meeting, if a school sends out a flyer in English to a family who speaks or reads Girardi, why would they attend this meeting? Because they can't read or write English, so you shouldn't expect them to show up. So we, suggest to schools, every month you have this PTA meeting, or your calendar. For most schools, your calendar is already filled out throughout, the beginning of the school year, so you know what's coming up. Submit those documents in advance so that by the time you're ready to send out the notification in English, you can send out the same notification in those preferred languages as well, so that families can feel like, involved, because they're reading their communication in their language. So it makes them, oh, okay. And on the flyer, you in their language, you want to put down that you're going to have, well, we tell schools that on the flyer you should have that you're going to have these language lines. If you're doing virtual events, that you're going to have the language lines in their preferred languages as well, so parents can feel comfortable with attending and knowing that they will understand what's going on in the meeting. And the same goes for in person. You want to promote that in their language so that they can understand that when they come to a meeting, it will be in their language and they can feel included. Our office has 3 large teams. Our largest team is the translation team. They provide written translation services in the 10 non-English languages and works in close collaboration with our contracted vendor to extend services for languages beyond the capacity of our internal resources. Our interpretation team works with our contracted interpretation vendor to ensure schools receive services for in-person, virtual, and over the phone for parent engagement. And our outreach and data integration team, we focus on promoting equitable language access services to schools and empowering New York City Public Schools parents to understand and advocate for their language access rights. We also collaborate with advocates to identify needs and address language barriers in our ever-changing communities. We engage parent leaders to enhance the message of language access to our communities. We pursue innovative ways to engage with and receive feedback from families, such as online portals, emails, robocalls, texts, direct mailers. We leverage technology to continuously enhance the interpretation experience for families, such as virtual meetings. We ensure translation quality, such as professional translation tools. And we keep a pulse of citywide parent language data and translation interpretation service outputs. So the New York City Public Schools free language services include interpretation for all types of meetings and interactions with New York City Public Schools staff, translation of general documents into the New York City Public Schools top covered languages, and some examples of those documents may include a parent newsletter or event flyers, translation of individualized documents into a parent's preferred language upon request, and some examples of those individualized documents will include like an IEP, which is the Individualized Educational Program, Section 504 plans, which is a medical accommodations, and foreign transcripts. So for IEPs and foreign transcript, we translate into any language, not just our top covered languages. So when you go to the New York City Public Schools website, you're gonna notice at the top right corner, there's a Google dropdown. You select whichever preferred language that is yours. Once you click on it, the entire website will translate into that language. But please note that automatic translations are not intended to replace human translators and are provided as a service to users of the website. Some content, such as images, videos, animations, etc., may not be translated due to the limitations of the translation software. So the very first thing that you will see when you go onto the schools.nyc.gov Hello webpage, there will be a little short video. It's just explaining and guiding you where you can click on to submit, to request a translated document or to request an in-house or virtual interpreter. That video is translated into our 10 covered languages. And also at the top right corner, you will see the Google dropdown that you can select your preferred language and change the whole website. Right underneath that video, the very first tab will read helpful resources. So you may print or cut out the iSpeak card in 10 languages to request language assistance services when communicating with the New York City Public School staff. Language Access for New York City Public School Families brochure advises families of the availability of language assistance services. You may also request one at your school. And also in this tab, you will find health forms notices, special education, early childhood communications, and enrollment forms. But let's say you want to click on the Language Access for New York City Public Schools Families brochure. This is how the brochure looks. You will notice at the bottom, there's a little cutout portion for each language. Whichever preferred language is yours, you would just cut that portion out, bring that portion to your school, and the school must provide communications in that language. Also, if you do not see your language that you speak, we have a blank portion as well. It just reads I speak, and a little line underneath. You can just write in your preferred language, the same process, cut it out, bring that portion to your school, and the schools must provide communication in your language. The very next tab would read Request Language Services. Families may complete the translation and interpretation service request form to request language services. The New York City Public Schools Office of Language Access will forward your request to the appropriate school, office, or Committee on Special Education. But please note, language assistance services may vary depending on the type of school the student attends. Families can also call 311 to make a request for language assistance services, and over-the-phone interpretation is available in over 200 languages. Let's say you wanted to click on the translation and interpretation service request form. On the left is a little snapshot on how the form looked. It's just a few questions, you just fill it out. But before you fill out this form, we ask for that you go to your school first for support. So, as I mentioned before, each school should have a language access coordinator at that school to support parents. And we suggest that it's not just one person, that it's a team of people, because if the principal designates an ENL teacher to be the language access coordinator, and after you had this presentation, you go, oh, I'm going to my school, I want to speak to the language access coordinator, and it turns out that that person happens to be the teacher. Now the teacher cannot be pulled from their classroom. So that's why we suggest to schools that it's a team effort. It's not just, it can't just fall on one person. And primarily we would like for it to be the parent coordinator, because they are, that's their title. They deal with parents on a day-to-day basis. They are the liaison between the school and the parents. But ultimately, it's up to the principal. But let's say you went to the school and somebody was new and they wasn't aware of these services. So then you can just come to this form, you can fill it out. This form is available in our 10 languages. And we also provided a QR code. So once you fill out this form, I get a notification in my inbox. I'll just read to see what the issue is. I'll forward that to the principal, the language access coordinator, and the parent coordinator of that school. Let them know that, hey, Robert filled out this form. They said that they tried to get an interpreter, to a meeting, and the school did not provide it. Can you please? Now, one thing I'm skipping, a parent can fill this out anonymously or not. So if the parent fill this out anonymously, then it would be just a general email to the school, letting them know that you have a parent who speaks, say, Girardi, and they said that the school did not provide them with any language resources. So please, all your Girardi speaking families, please make sure that you provide interpretation for them at every parent meeting. So that would be just a general email, because that parent did not provide the information. Now, if the parent did provide the information, and then the email would be a little bit different. It's like, hey, Robert mentioned that they didn't receive the services. Can you please respond to this email so we can, go over some best practices? Because maybe, like I said, maybe the person was new at the time, they didn't know. So I would just go over some best practices to see what is the disconnect between the school and Robert, and why Robert did not receive these language services. And the school must respond to me within 5 to 7 business days, or I have to escalate it. Because, if it comes in as a complaint to our office, we take that serious. So the very next tab will read Connect with OLA. If you or someone you know needs help receiving information or communicating with a school staff member in a language other than English, please tell your school's principal or parent coordinator, or you can call 311, or you can click on the Contact OLA form. Once you click on the Contact OLA form, on the left is a little snapshot of how the form looks. And it's the same process. If you fill it out, it's available in our top 10 languages. And it's the same process. I'll email the principal, parent coordinator, and whoever is the language access coordinator is of that school, let them know that this parent filled out this form. The very next tab underneath that will read Share your experience with the New York City Public Schools Language Assistance Services. You may also provide feedback on the New York City Public Schools Language Services by completing our translation and interpretation feedback survey, or you can do so by calling 311. But let's say you wanted to leave a feedback. You would click on Translation Interpretation Feedback Survey. On the left is a snapshot of how the form would look. And it's the same process. I email it, I forward it to the principal, parent coordinator, and the language access coordinator. Now, we don't want to just hear what the school is not doing for you. We would like for you to share some of the good things as well, so that we can possibly ask that school to model for other schools who are struggling to support parents. Because as we all know, it takes a village. The very next tab underneath that is the sign language interpretation services. This is a separate office. It's not with our office. And because it's a different office, they ask for you to contact your school's parent coordinator, or you can contact them directly at oslis@schools.nyc.gov. Excuse me. The last tab will read, having difficulties obtaining language assistance services. If you are, you can click on the Get Help or click on File a Complaint. Now, if you click on File a Complaint, this does not come to our office. This goes directly to the district. This is a formal complaint. So we have done some advertisement in schools, grocery stores, laundromats, nail, hair, and barber salons, pharmacies. And what's not on here is that we have done advertisement inside the MTA train stations and on the MTA buses. We have done direct parent outreach through robocalls, emails, text messages, and postcards like the one you see on the right. If you're saying you have not received one or any of these, please go to your school, speak to the school secretary, make sure all your information is updated, because we pull from the same system that schools enter your information in. We can, we tend to change phone numbers, or we have a different address. Just please make sure all your information is updated. With that being said, are there any questions? And actually, I want to add as well, because I know that there are some of you who may wear different hats. So if you're actually on this, if you're sitting on the CEC board, your direct support would be the district. If you are the PTA president, your direct support would be the parent coordinator. Some schools do not have a parent coordinator, so it would be the administration of the principal or AP. And like I said, we have trained a lot of staff members on these language services. So if a parent just, let's say if a parent just walks into the school building and they speak a language that the secretary does not understand, we have supplied schools with a phone number that they can just call on demand. They don't have to schedule, just call anything. They can just pick up the phone, dial the number, tell the prompt which language that they need, and within seconds, they will get an interpreter online to speak with that parent. So we try to make it real easy for folks. And for documents, up to 1,000 words. If a school submits a document to our office, up to 1,000 words, that would take 3 to 7 business days. From 1,000 to 2,000 words, it take about 7 to 10 business days.
So Robert, if we were interested in having translation services for a PTA meeting, our
Mhm.
first point of contact would be that language access coordinator at our school
And also the parent coordinator.
and the parent coordinator. Okay.
Because in most schools, that would be the parent coordinator. But if you go to the parent coordinator and the parent coordinator is like, for some reason, they said that they don't know how to do it, then you ask them, oh, well, who's the language access coordinator? Because we train them to turnkey information. Like I said, not everyone is comfortable with turnkey information. I do understand that. So we're trying to, our goal is to train every staff member in every school. But, that's our goal. But it's, we're not there yet, but that's our goal.
And would they then reach out to you, your office,
Yes,
for
because
the translation?
parents can't request directly to us. It has to be the school.
Okay,
So they go to the school, the parent coordinator, and the parent coordinator will send us a request on your behalf.
oh, okay,
And also, it's not only with PTA meetings, it's at graduations. Because I know there were some parents that was not aware that they can have interpreters for for graduations as well.
oh, okay. We have a comment in the chat. Thank you for this information. We'll reach out to the school to figure out who the point person is. Language access is a huge barrier in our community. And I echo that because it's also, we have WhatsApp chats for our various grades. And apparently there's a WeChat just for Chinese speaking parents.
Oh.
And so this is something we weren't even aware of, that a parent takes it upon themselves to try and translate some of the things that the school sends out. So if we could be able to access these parents with our communication directly and know that, I mean, we do use Google Translate when we send out like PTA emails, but having access at our PTA meetings would be huge to be able to promote that.
Okay. And our office, we don't use machine translation. We have live people there because machine translation
More
is not
accurate.
100% accurate.
Yes.
And we try to tell schools really not to use it as much, especially if you don't have anyone to proofread it, because you're not aware of what's being said.
Right.
But and as far as interpreters, we don't have interpreters at our office. We outsource with the contracted vendor. So, and I don't think I mentioned this, but to request an interpreter for in-person or virtual meeting, the school must request it with at least 10 business days in advance.
Okay. And is there a fee associated with that if you're using a third party?
Glad you asked. Yes. So, requesting an in-house or virtual interpreter is a fee to the school, but the school does not have to use their regular school budget. They can use our translation interpretation funds for that. So it's a separate budget for school. And I know not every school, I don't know if, because millions of dollars go back to, to the government because a lot of schools are not utilizing those funds. And I understand because they may have bilingual staff to help out, so they don't have to use it. Or like you said, you have parents who can get it. But our thing is, why not give them a break? It's free money to you. Just utilize it. Give them a break so that they can relax.
Okay. Okay, I'll open the floor if anyone else has any questions. I don't want to monopolize your time. Well, we really want to thank you for being here, Robert. This was some great information. I knew about the website, but that's just amazing, all the languages that are spoken within the New York City Public Schools. So thank you for being here at our meeting tonight.
But thank you for having me.
Robert, can I ask just one quick thing? I just noticed that you
Yes.
had simplified on there as well in terms of written
Yes.
translation.
Yes.
So because I know it's been something that's been brought up at the CEC meeting about getting I know that you're probably familiar with that.
That's why.
Is that now added as an
Yes,
option?
it's now added,
Oh,
simplified
they're going to be thrilled.
and traditional. Yes.
No, they're going to be thrilled with that. That's great. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. So we will move on with our presentation. I will share my screen now. So just a reminder as to where we are in the Community and Citywide Education Council elections. We are still in the candidate forums, but coming up this week, the voting window will open. Parents will vote online through their New York City Schools account. And again, each parent that's registered with the New York City Public Schools is entitled to a vote. And then in June, the results will be announced, and the term that they will serve for is July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027. Again, to vote, it's through your NYXA account. If you have any issues or need help with getting access to your NYXA account, because to create an account, you do need a creation code. You should see the parent coordinator at your child's school. They will help you to get that code so that you can open your account, and you just need one account for all of your children. Once you are into the account, you'll be able to add, if you have more than one student in the New York City Public Schools, you'll be able to add them all and see more than just voting on CEC. You can see attendance, grades, a variety of options there through the NYXA account. So just a reminder for our President's Council meeting dates, our next meeting will be Monday, May 19th. And then just a reminder that on Monday, June 16th will be the elections for next year's President's Council board. So, and I'll get into something about elections in a moment. The District 25 DPAC meeting, the next meeting is Wednesday, April 30th. So that's for all of your Title I chairpersons. The next CEC meeting will be on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. That will be there in person at the Linden Place. I believe there's also an online option for that as well. So just a reminder for the elections for the 2025-2026 PTA Executive Board. The nomination meetings should be held this month for elections in May. It must be run by parents that are not running for a position. So we recommend reaching out to any graduating parents, because obviously they cannot be running. That's generally at my school where we're able to form our nominating committees, is through parents that are exiting out of the school. We recommend that elections are held in May so that the elected presidents can be nominated for President's Council Board at the June President's Council meeting. A reminder that election meetings must be in person or virtual. Hybrid meetings are not allowed for the elections. And the meeting should be run by the chair of the nominating committee. And again, that chairperson cannot be someone who is running for a position. If anyone is in need of help with running an election, you can contact President's Council and we will provide you support with that, whether it be virtual or in person. And last, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions that anyone has. I will stop sharing my screen. Just a reminder again, next month's meeting is on May 19th at 6:30, and the link is the same link as how you got it here tonight. So now's your chance to ask any questions you might have, whether it be regarding elections, CEC nominations, voting. I know the district is asking all schools to have voting parties. That's something that the administration should be setting up. They may ask for PTA assistance, so be aware that that's something that I have not yet been asked, but I know ours has been scheduled. So I'm looking forward to at least supporting in person, even if they don't need any support from the PTA. Okay, well, if there are no questions, if no one has any other.
David has his
Yeah,
hand
there's
raised.
David has his
Oh.
hand raised, Rachel.
I didn't see that.
Hey, David, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Thank you for calling on me. so this doesn't really have much to do with the elections, but it's more of a question that impacts everyone, staff, students, families. So the C30 process, as we know, is basically a process that decides when assistant principals and principals get hired, and it's made up of various stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, administration, etc., and other staff. My question is, right now, the way, at least in my experience, with the few that I've been a part of or that I've heard about, it's pretty much like a formality, and the stakeholders don't really have a voice. It's pretty much the hiring manager, whether it's the principal or superintendent, chooses regardless of what the recommendations are. I was wondering what your guys' thoughts on that are, and whether or not, as parent leaders, you would be willing to try to push for a more equitable C30 process.
I'll defer that to Dr. Mike. As President's Counsel, I'm not sure what types of changes or anything we could implement at our level. Dr. Mike, could you speak to his
Yeah,
question?
so the C30 process governs the whole hiring of assistant principals and principals. There's always an initial meeting with me as well as the school leadership team to discuss what the process is. We send out information to our district community around, there's a Google, I don't know, what school are you from, David?
I work at Flushing High School.
Okay. So the process, at least I can't tell you what your own experience was, but the way that I've always kind of organized it here, even as a deputy and now in the superintendent's role, certainly as a principal, we send out a Google form to all of our district community within that school to gather what are some of the qualities that they would like to see, what are the questions that they would like to ask. And then it's incumbent upon the C30 committee to organize around those particular scenarios, ask the questions. And I haven't had an experience where anyone other than what the committee has identified as the selector, the person that should be selected, to be chosen for the role. So I can't speak to necessarily your own experience, but that's been mine. So, have I seen scenarios where folks that maybe perhaps were in an interim acting role that did not receive the role? Yes, I have seen that 100%. Where the person that was initially slated for the role and slated, meaning the person who assumes the responsibility to begin with, doesn't earn that right afterwards, based on parent feedback and teacher feedback and leadership. So in general, the process is intended to provide that voice. Now, they are an advisory committee. It does not mean that they make the sole choice as parents or teachers. So the C30 is intended to be advisory. But in my experience, there have not been candidates that, are not the person that's identified that wind up getting the role by the C30. So the C30 group typically is the group that identifies the candidate. I just can't speak to your own experience with it, but that's been mine inside of the role.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I do think that the questions are important that are devised. I don't know if you're sitting on as a parent or as an SLT member, as a teacher, but the questions that are organized are important, and then the conversations that exist during the C30 process is an important one. Those are important parts of it. And any of the ones that I've conducted over time, that's been, those debriefs are really, really important inside of the space.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Mike.
Sure.
I know the few C30s I've been part of, the recommendation of the group is generally, as I've only been a part of maybe 3, but in all 3, the recommendation when we came together as a group is what was decided upon. But that's only 3 out of how many happen on a regular basis. So, all right. Does anyone else have any questions? Let me just check the chat. I don't see anything in the chat. I'm sorry I missed your hand, David. So thank you to Lewis for noticing that. Okay, if there's no questions, if I could get a motion and state your name to adjourn the meeting. Anyone can make a motion?
Okay, Xian Chen, Junior High School 189 adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. If I could get a second and state your name for the minutes to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second. David Ginsburg.
Thank you so much. Okay, it is 7:53 and the April meeting of the District 25 President's Council is officially adjourned. We look forward to seeing you back in May. Again, if you need any support with your elections throughout the month of May, hopefully you'll be able to get them done by the end of May so we can see you all for the elections at President's Council's level in June. So thank you all for attending tonight and have a good night.
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Good night.